this 4-hour documentary, but I thought, okay, it's 4 hours, but it's not like one long 4-hour narrative like it is for like a regular narrative film. There is of course a narrative in documentaries, but it's different because there are interviews, then some found footage, some graphs. Sometimes they throw in some animation. I mean, there's of course various ways to present a documentary. There's as many various ways to present a documentary as there is to present a narrative film, like quite honestly. So my assumption was probably flawed. But I was going for the whole, if it's 4 hours, I suppose there's a lot of, different sort of things being presented in different ways. I was wrong. It was 4 hours of a fly on the wall type of document. Titles, you didn't know who was who. You got a sense of who was who based on how it was being presented, but you literally felt like a fly was going, and you were going around to all these things, and you pretty much knew about as much as a fly would know, who happened to, understand what we say, and that's it. So, in that regard, to me, it felt really long. Okay, I already came into it tired. I'm already coming into it having seen days of screenings. So I can admit that the fact that I saw this today, that might be why I didn't want to see it in this particular style of documentary. It was too much. It's hard for me to concentrate that long with all that was being thrown at us. It was interesting in the sense that, it's pretty nice to be able to see what it's like in some of those Berkeley lectures, and it's a very well-known school with a very good reputation. Well, I do definitely appreciate that what they were trying to do probably was to provide an unbiased look at what's going on in the university system today by using University of California at Berkeley as sort of like a test area. And okay, you don't want to say who's doing what or saying what for whatever reason. It's better to just remove all the artifice that would make us think, okay, we're being presented with an idea or an argument, and just pretend like we're there, and we happen to hear a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we're hearing as many sort of different sides of the story as we possibly can to then formulate our own opinions. The truth of the matter is that even with 4 hours, just pure, scenes shown without interference of some kind of voiceover or any other kind of prompt or argument being proposed, is that you're still not getting every single piece of footage that was given. You're not getting every single minute that happened in that over that time, that one particular fall a few years ago at Berkeley. The movie makers are still making decisions about what scenes we're going to see. So inevitably, there's going to be some kind of direction from that, and there's a possibility of a bias being presented without even necessarily the filmmakers being fully aware of that. How things are being cut together and juxtaposed are going to affect how people view the information given. It just will. It's never going to be the same as just being there and experiencing it. So for me, since that's the case, regardless, I really feel like a lot of the scenes were not necessary for the overall narrative, and especially the faculty meetings. Faculty meetings tend to be sort of all over the place anyway, and yes, they were cut down, but still they felt long and unnecessary, and I would understand what they were going with it. Even in some of the classes too, when they were having the students sort of give their reactions to the main sort of problem that seemed to be presented was the issue of an economy that's suffering, like a general economic downturn in the United States, being compounded by the fact that public universities that traditionally got a lot of support from the state level, and even I think possibly from federal level, but in any case they were getting government support for the school to provide many more people from the state with higher education, they are getting their funds cut. More and more is being demanded that they provide as far as services to the students, and these students are increasingly less able to afford. And then with the increase in competition, I mean, students who would traditionally maybe work off campus or even on campus to sort of supplement their studies, they're unable to because there's just so much being asked of them to do when they're leaving the university with all that debt, and there's all this competition and there's an economic downturn. So getting a job to pay off those loans are even harder and harder to come by. So it's really like this, perfect storm of a really bad situation. Nobody's happy about it, and that's the thing. That was very clearly presented. Nobody likes it. No one seems to really know what exactly they need to do about it. There was a lot of, this is bad because of this. This is bad because of that. A lot of really obvious stuff. Again, that doesn't need 4 hours to sort of get across. And of course, it culminates in this student protest that the faculty are very obviously anticipating, and they're having all kinds of discussions as far as how they can contain it, make sure the students feel heard. And so we see that it's all this very orchestrated thing, something that looks like it's sort of spontaneous, and you get to see that it's very contained and organized, really, and everybody kind of knows. They're almost like showing up as if they're showing up for a play or a scene in a film or something, and they're just acting out their parts. At least that's how it felt like to me. And it was disappointing because you really realize that the problems are real, the solutions seem impossible. It's very long and ultimately frustrating. But as I was coming out, what I heard from other people, like some of the people were like, "Oh, it was great. I could be there and listen to it forever." And I mean, I've worked and lived in the academic world for quite a while, and I kind of got the same feeling that I've got before, is that they're living in a bubble. There is an academic bubble. There's all this dialogue, discourse, conjecture, but nothing is actually being solved, it seemed, or it's just the wheels turn too slowly, I feel. And yeah, it was frustrating. I did leave, actually. I left for a little bit and I did go back, but I needed to walk around because I was just feeling antsy sitting there. I feel bad for the guy who was initially sitting beside me because I just kept shifting in my seat to try to, like, A, stay awake, and B, to sort of be more engaged. So that was that. So I was determined then to use my last voucher, and it was something I wasn't sure I was going to use because today was also the free screening of whatever movie won the People's Choice Award. And hey, had I no vouchers left, I would have just gone and stood in line for whatever they were going to show. It didn't matter because it's free, and why not? And obviously it's the crowd favorite, so it's got to be a relatively good film. And so I was willing to do that, except that I did have this voucher left over. And so when I heard that it was a film that is definitely coming to the screen relatively soon, I said, well, never mind. I stayed on in the area that I was already in, and I looked for what was playing next that I want to see after taking a little break to get some, a caffeine fix and a snack and things. So I did that, and I found the movie When Jews Were Funny, even though the title confuses me because I thought, what do you mean when they were funny? They're still funny, right? I don't understand. But and I still don't get to know, because I actually didn't end up seeing that documentary because for the first time today, of course on the last day, I don't get the ticket I rushed for, which astounded me. Everything else I saw in that theater at the Scotiabank theaters, everybody was rushing everything, and they were opening up rush tickets for everything. There aren't a lot of people left trying to see films on the last day, and especially I thought in the afternoon, if anyone's going to want to run and see something, if they're rushing, they don't have the ticket already, I thought they would go see the free film. And so I thought I can take my time, have my nice snack, and then come and line up. And the last ticket given for that was given to the person in front of me. I thought, you're kidding. I said, but I'm just one person. Are you sure there's not one little bitty spot in the entire theater? And they said no. And then I was really upset because it was by then 4:45, which meant that I had about 15 minutes to find something else that was going to start that I could rush for in 15 minutes and get the ticket for. Suddenly I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not getting these rush tickets. The good news is that there was something. Without leaving that rush line at that theater, I was then one of the first few people in line for the next thing that was starting at 5 p.m. And 5 p.m. is my cutoff for my day vouchers, thank goodness. And so it was the film Unforgiven. Now, I had intended to end on a funny note. I was really happy to have found the documentary that was going to be about Jewish comedians, because what could be better? As far as like wanting to have a nice fun time and at a documentary and laugh. And since I didn't get that, I thought Unforgiven, like the Clint Eastwood movie, and the woman in front of me said, yes, don't worry, you'll love it, it's great, you're going to want to see it. It's the Japanese version of that film, and you know, these great filmmakers are going to love it, just give it a go. And I thought, oh no, I haven't actually seen Unforgiven. It's one of those weird sort of holes in my repertoire of films, even though I know it's critically acclaimed and a crowd favorite. But I hadn't seen it, and I thought, this is going to be weird. I am now going to see the Japanese version of an American like film, which normally I end up seeing like the American version of a Japanese film, and then sometimes if I'm lucky, I'll be able to see sort of the Japanese version of something. So, okay, of course. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And it was 2 hours and 15 minutes. By then I'm just so tired. But I went for it anyways, because what was I going to do? I had that one voucher, and I wanted to use it. I wanted to end it on a good note. I definitely didn't want to end it with that at Berkeley experience. So I saw it. I loved it. It was so great. And I'm happy that I didn't really know the story, because that way I got to be surprised on top of everything else. So I have no idea how much it differs from the original. I was really surprised to see like basically a Western in Japan, which I just, who knew? And so samurai Japan, it sounds like, you know, hokey and weird and some bizarre hybrid film, but I thought it was fascinating, well acted, beautiful scenery, beautiful scenery. I have no idea if the landscape is anywhere comparable to the beautiful landscape that was in this film. What I saw in this film was just from the beginning scene is this beautiful, they're just on these horses, these dark horses going over the white beautiful snow in this big open plain, and then they go into the forest, and there's this big fight. It's just beautiful, very nice stuff. So yeah, so I got to end it on a nice nice film, interesting film. Yes, it's not exactly a barrel of laughs. There were a couple of funny moments though, thankfully. The end was devastating. I guess I shouldn't spoil it, though I'm pretty sure everybody knows what happens. It's a samurai slash western based on Unforgiven. It ends kind of bloody. I doubt that that's any kind of spoiler for anybody. There you have it. Too bad if it is. It's the end. You can hate me now. So there you go. I saw that, and I enjoyed it, so I got to end on a good note, and now I'm tired, and now I'm just going to sleep. I'm going to sleep until my first meeting tomorrow, which is thankfully sort of midday. So yay. Yay for sleep. All right. Good night. Bye.